Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are talking about how Nintendo is looking to blow us away with their unreal game development pipeline, and this does also include the likes of Princess Peach Showtime. So what am I getting at here? Well, the overall point I'm trying to make with this video is that Nintendo has a lot of really good games lined up, or at least they are lining them up for the next year or so, and it's actually going to be a really good time for us. And I think this is an important point to make right now, because we're expecting a partner showcase soon. We'll see if it happens tomorrow or not. Many of you may be watching this after the fact, but there's this concern right now amongst the Nintendo community about games on the way, because I'm recording this in the middle of February, and currently there is no known releases for April, May, or June, or beyond. Now, there are some games that are in the pipeline, but we don't know when they're coming out. And today we also got news that Sony is confirming that they have no major franchise release due for the next fiscal year. So what's going on with this upcoming year of gaming? Is it going to be bad across the board? I don't think so. I think Nintendo is going to be showcasing some really impressive things, and that's basically what I'm getting at today. We have reason to believe that Nintendo is setting up to really impress. Now, before I explain why I believe this, let me point out that we are aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, perhaps by the time Switch 2 comes out. So if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and enjoy the ride as we talk about Nintendo every day. So we just got some news on Princess Peach Showtime. We got a new trailer seemingly showcasing the final costumes that will be a part of the lineup for this game. Honestly, the game is looking quite fun. With all the different costumes and abilities, the gameplay is looking rather varied, and a lot of these abilities remind me of a different game series. So as potentially one of the final big Switch games, it might be kind of a nice fit because it has so much variety to its gameplay loop. But something else we've learned about Princess Peach Showtime recently is that it looks like the game was made with Unreal Engine. AK Family Home on Twitter posted these images of the Chinese box art for Princess Peach Showtime, and on the back, we can see that it says Unreal Engine. And I think this is a very interesting thing to note because we've been seeing some Nintendo games over the last few years using Unreal Engine. Just last year, we also saw Pikmin 4, and that is an internally made Nintendo game. Now, we've also seen Yoshi's Crafted World that came out in the beginning of the Switch era, and that was also made with Unreal Engine, but it was developed by Good Feel. And so some people are actually thinking that Princess Peach Showtime is developed by Good Feel and not internal Nintendo. But something many may not be taking into account here is that Good Feel actually just put out a game. The full name is actually quite a mouthful. It has not been localized yet, but it came out November 30th, 2023. Just came out. And so it is very unlikely that Good Feel is behind Princess Peach Showtime. So we don't know who the developer for Peach Showtime is right now, but it's at least not Good Feel, and there's a chance it's another internally developed Nintendo game made using Unreal Engine. And we've even seen in the past that Game Freak has done some hiring suggesting that they may be working with Unreal Engine as well. Will that materialize on a Nintendo platform? We shall see. But the point is that we have seen more and more Nintendo games working with Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine is a third-party engine. And so why is Nintendo using this as opposed to their own proprietary stuff? Well, they do use their own proprietary stuff. Look at Tears of the Kingdom, for example. But we may be seeing a little bit more of a blend here. And I think this blend, in part, is because it streamlines game development. It's less work for Nintendo. And if Pikmin 4 is anything to go by, I think they've gotten a good rap on really pushing Unreal Engine on the Nintendo Switch. And so this situation to me is just another example of Nintendo doing things to make sure they have consistent releases coming. Tears of the Kingdom was a game that was basically complete as of March of 2022, but didn't release until May of 2023. Mario Wonder was in development for years with no deadline set. Prairie Remastered was content complete as of summer of 2021 and didn't come out until the beginning of 2023. And the point I'm making here is that Nintendo has shown a great deal of evidence that a lot of their games are not being rushed. They're taking their sweet time with them, and they're coming out when they think it makes the most sense for them. But at the same time, we're still seeing consistent releases. And so some have this concern that going into Switch 2, Nintendo's gonna have to delay things so they make sure the software is ready. But if this generation is anything to go by, Nintendo has streamlined their game development in a variety of ways, outsourcing many projects, bringing in different partners, not just using their own proprietary engine, but third-party engines like Unreal sometimes, and doing a good job of it. Having unified game divisions where they're focusing on one single platform. All these different things have led to consistent games coming out. And I don't think that the current lack of awareness we have for what's to come in 2024 and beyond is because there aren't games ready. I think it's just Nintendo being very strategic about how they want to go about announcing what's to come. Something else that's occurred to me recently is that if Nintendo was legitimately not going to have any games coming through April through June, then why would they go ahead and put out the Splatoon 3 side order DLC on February 22nd with Mario vs. Donkey Kong coming out February 15th? The Splatoon 3 side order DLC is a pretty extensive expansion to Splatoon 3. The first wave of this DLC is just a hub area. It's nothing too extensive here, so it feels like the bulk of this new content is all going into this second part, which is coming out next week as of this recording. And so why put that alongside Mario vs. Donkey Kong, 1 week from each other, if you're going to have months of a drought after March? I think it's because that's not what's going to happen. Now, while I personally don't expect it, based off the different things Nintendo has said and done, it is possible that there will be somewhat of a drought between Switch 1 and Switch 2. But I would argue we're already going through that drought with the increased ratio of remakes and remasters as opposed to brand new games. I think this is how Nintendo is being strategic about maintaining consistent content going forward, while still focusing most of their efforts on the next gen. And because Switch is such a prevalent system now, still selling relatively well with so many systems out there, and software sales being so strong, I don't see them stopping the support for Switch, even with Switch 2 seemingly about to be announced. I think the content's still coming. And there are different products we're expecting to see surrounding Switch 2. Metroid Prime 4 is supposed to come to Switch 1, but it is believed by many that the only reason we haven't seen it up to this point is because they're saving it for Switch 2 as a cross-gen game. And I think this is likely, especially because we've seen evidence that they've been QA testing since last year, early last year. But also it's believed that 3D Mario has been in the works for some time, and is likely a launch title or at least a launch window title for this system. But then going beyond that, we are overdue for a next big Mario Kart game. I think that's also likely around the corner. Pokemon is likely to announce some things in their Pokemon Presents at the end of the month, including the next mainline release, as they do every single year. But also we have other projects like what Monolith Soft is cooking. Typically after an expansion or a remaster, they have a break year, and so 2024 is likely a break year, but 2025, they are most likely going to have something ready. And so those are just some examples of games we could see in the not so distant future. So going back to the point I made in the beginning of the video, that Sony is confirming that they don't have any big releases for the next upcoming fiscal year, Nintendo is looking primed and ready, pun intended, because I'm expecting Prime 4 during this period of time, to really blow us away and take the spotlight here. And I don't mean this in some sort of fanboy war kind of way. I want to see big Sony games too. And I'll say that typically when Sony's not doing well with big releases, Nintendo is, and vice versa. When Nintendo's having a bit of a dip, Sony comes out with bangers. The point is more so that for us Nintendo fans, this upcoming year or so is looking to be pretty special. So while right now, there may not be a bevy of big Nintendo announced titles already slated and we have all the details on them, they exist, most likely. What Nintendo's done throughout the Switch era shows that they have a good development pipeline and ecosystem going, and they're going to be able to deliver. But those are my thoughts on the matter. What do you make of what's to come from Nintendo in the next year or so? Do you also expect to be blown away? Or do you have different thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.